salt restriction. So especially with people with cardiovascular disease, they've just cut 100% salt out.
Sodium in their diet so low, a direct inverse relationship.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I am naturopath Fiona Chin and co-founder of Kygenesis and the Kidney Disease Solution. And I'm joined again today by the beautiful Jessianna Seville. She is a renal dietitian and expert in all things diet and kidney related. But let's start with, what is potassium and why in old school thinking has it thought to be a problem related to kidney disease?
So potassium is a mineral, specifically an electrolyte. So if you think about athletes and they're drinking their Gatorade, and why are they doing it? It's because those electrolytes are needed for nerves and muscles to function correctly. Now, potassium ended up on the naughty list for kidney disease, actually rather unscientifically. There was no science behind it. It was more logic in how the kidneys work, that it started becoming a demonized nutrient and being pulled out of people's diets and being recommended by doctors, dietitians, lots of professionals, that people with kidney disease needed to cut their potassium out. But what more of the evidence is showing now is that actually, even if you have kidney disease, well, some people need to be conscientious of it, but the majority of people actually don't need to restrict potassium. So there's been a couple case studies done where people had their sodium in their diet so low, so extremely low, like less than 500 milligrams. They're being, super proactive, brought their sodium down really low. And when they did that, what ended up happening is the potassium went up. And so when they normalized sodium, the potassium actually came down, and it was, a direct inverse relationship. Super interesting case studies on that. Yeah. So it's something I'll also look for, because I have our patients that come work with us are so proactive. They're doing everything they can, and sometimes they're overdoing what they need to do, which causes them some grief and some harm.
Yeah. So if you don't know what Jessianna's talking about when she's talking about sodium, she's talking about people being on a salt restriction. So especially with people with cardiovascular disease, they've just cut 100% salt out. And because sodium and potassium, both electrolytes, the body, to balance one, will just push them up because it's trying to keep your heart regulated. So sodium and potassium keep your heart pumping and beating properly. So if you cut out too much sodium, the body has to draw in more potassium just to keep the heart regular. So yeah, that's exactly right. So okay, so now we've got that it's very unusual to have hypokalemia or high elevated potassium. If we do, we make sure that we run the bloods again. If it's still high, then we look for other possible causes, being blood sugar, low salt diet, blood pressure medications, those sort of things, uncontrolled diabetes. And then we would treat that versus taking potassium out, because your potassium nutrient foods are so great. And you mentioned this, but I want to reiterate and tell me if I heard wrong, but often if there's another driver, taking potassium foods out has a very marginal effect on blood levels anyway. You really have to take out the driver, and that's what you found. That's definitely what I've found in clinic.
Yeah. And I mean, that's actually a really good clinical marker for us, because sometimes as you're working through dietary changes and working on a precision method, you try something and you see what happens. And so if someone comes in, their potassium's a little bit high, we're like, okay, fine tooth comb, let's go through the diet. Let's make sure it's super, like, there's nothing extra in there. And then we take it out. And a lot of times I can't even find anything significant. Or if you just do a dietary recall, it doesn't match up, right? The numbers just don't match up. But we'll take it out anyways, and they'll go get their labs redrawn, and it will still be high. And we're like, well, it's not your food, so let's just not restrict it, because it's not your food anyway. So that's like ludicrous, right? Yeah. But so it can be a good test for us. We can take it out and kind of see where things go. But a lot of times, what that'll prove to us, it wasn't the diet to begin with.
Jessianna, thanks again. I always appreciate your brain and just your input and all of those sort of things. So thanks for joining us. Now, remember, if you want more information about Jessianna and her team, I'll put it down below. Make sure you hit subscribe. That means you'll get notified anytime we put out new content, and you can also head to our Facebook page as well. Thanks for being part of our community. Again, thanks, Jessianna, so much for your contribution to everything that we're doing, and we look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.